He doesn't need to really commit to any one place, does he? He could follow the Canelo.
Is he a big enough seller to do that though?
He's not.
That's kind of.
He's not. He's not a big enough. He's not a big enough name.
But at the moment, I don't think anybody wants to be signing any long-term deals with anyone, do they? I mean, there's so much going on.
But
are you going to be willing to let him run through your welterweights if you're Al Heyman? Just like I know Canelo did kind of a one-off fight for Caleb Plant, but they don't have the same commercial appeal as the welterweights.
That's true.
Yeah.
So Canelo going over there and boxing on Showtime.
But the fight's really it's Spence, and we're waiting. He's got to have retinal surgery, hasn't he? That could take a long time. I mean, he might, that can be really bad news.
I think the latest with Spence is that he's back in the gym and they're looking to get him a fight sorted. I think so. I think
Ugas has got a mandatory, hasn't he?
Yeah. The WBA again are fucking things up. They're doing like I think they're doing like another tournament now, and then he's not. He's got a boxer.
I think that makes sense. So let's do a tournament to find the real world champion for one organisation when you should only have one anyway.
Yeah, but then they're doing a tournament to find a regular champion to fight a super champion. It's just all nonsense. Yeah, so it's like Rasputin and the other guys. I can't remember who. Not Jamal James, who just got beat. Those guys. I think they're doing so. I don't know. It's easy to kind of ignore it when I see it coming up because obviously Ugas is the WBA champion.
But either way, he gets the PBC. I do PBC because that makes the fight with Spence Showtime makes it easier to make.
You'd surely think that if he's going to go, if he's now left top ranked, surely he's got an eye on.
Well, it can be the only thing because the other really good fight for him is Josh Taylor, but he's with Top Rank.
Yeah.
So,
and he said after the fight as well, Crawford, that he doesn't see himself boxing Josh Taylor anytime soon.
Exactly.
So that would kind of insinuate that he's not going to be hanging his hat back at
Spence,
top
isn't
rank.
it? It's.
Well, that was one of the main reasons that he pissed in on Bob's cornflakes, but said to him like he couldn't get me the Spence fight when I was with him. So how's he going to get me it now I've left him?
Yeah.
So you would think that that's the one that he wants, and if not Spence, and he moves up to 154, which he's spoken about in the past, and I could see him doing that. I could see him going up to 154 and boxing a Jamel Charlo. I think the WBO are going to allow, or Tim Tsou's going to step aside to allow that rematch between Charlo and Castaño. So if he fights the winner of that, that's another feasible opponent for him. But of course, that's also PBC.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go and box Jamel Charlo, you're going to have to go and...
Well, there you go. And it's not nearly as big as in boxing Spence, is it?
No. And the big pot of money that's on the table for the Spence fight would surely drive people to, or drive Crawford to 147 and make Al Heyman want to bring him into that 147 mix. You've got Garcia's moving up to 154. But you've still got Keith Thurman there. Still got obviously Errol Spence. I mean, Jaron Ennis is kind of I don't see him getting a shot at Crawford or Spence before they fought each other or before they decide to kind of park that to one side, as it were. So you would think it's got to be PBC.
Yeah, and it's the only fight, isn't it? It's more for Spence, I think, than that. And also, they're not young, by the way. You never cut old Crawford now, 33.
I think he's 33, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you wait a couple of years now. He's mid-30s. He's not far off 40 all of a sudden. You're edging away. And how long can he keep going for? And how long is your interest going to keep upon him? That's the only fight for me.
It is.
If they don't fight each other next, if it's not even Spence, if the eye injury and all that, you've got to fight. You got to fight Crawford next.
Because the edge has gone off the other fighters in that division, haven't they? Like Thurman after the layoff and then losing to Pacquiao, he's not as big a name or as attractive as he used to be. Danny Garcia, you could say the same about. Yeah. Sean Porter's now gone. Pacquiao's now gone. It's just Spence. I mean, it really is just Spence.
Ennis is brilliant, but unproven.
Yeah. I know. And just for risk reward, why are you going to do that? And he's not a PBC fighter. He boxes on Showtime, but not a PBC fighter. You've got Virgil Ortiz, who's making his way up in the WBO rankings. Of course, the WBC just called for him versus David Avanesian, which doesn't look like it's going to happen. Rick Meridian, who is manager of Virgil Ortiz, basically came out and said, yeah, great, they ordered it. But as we all know, it doesn't mean anything. Having a governing body or a British Boxing Board of Control circular certainly doesn't guarantee the fight. So yeah, you would think that it's kind of, well, why are you going to fight him like a Thurman or, I don't know, Crawford, Broner? It's a difficult one to even imagine coming together. Why would you have
That's
that fight?
Fight, actually. That's the fight.
Enough.
That's the fight.
Enough.
Happen,
if Broner lets his hands go, no. and then the kind of the flip side of that coin is, okay, why are you going to box a Virgil Ortiz or a Jaron Ennis when they're, I mean, obviously great for us for fighters, but trying to kind of understand and see the logic behind it from a business point of view.
The money he'll want? No.
Yeah.
The money he'll demand? No. Because they'll say, I'll come with you, but what are you going to give me? And they're going to have to offer him a lot of money. No.
I mean, that's the thing as well. We've kind of touching on the Canelo situation. It's difficult for Crawford to command the same market, well, he's not going to command the same market value, but to be able to dictate to the promoters without bringing in 500,000, 750, 1 million pay-per-view buys.
That's true.
It's going to be difficult for him to kind of take his hat and see who's going to put the most money in it.
Well, they can say, listen, they can say to Crawford and Spence, you can have 45% each of the pay-per-view, and we'll just take our 10% after. No, we'll just take after expenses. We get to a certain figure. We'll take 5%. And you take the rest. But you don't know what's going. They're going to go. Where's our guarantee? Yeah. Of course, obviously. No. With Canelo, you can go. I want 15 million guarantee because they know they're going to make at least that. No, if they don't make that, then Canelo's obviously come out and said, he's
a bit like Andre Ward, Terence.
It's a good comparison.
Like Andre Ward, brilliant fighter. But those two fights against Kovalev didn't really sell that well from the figures we were given. And Crawford, again, like you say, is a spectacular fighter. But my original statement that he could follow the Canelo model is actually he can't. You know, and you just pointed out exactly why he can't really. But you do think that you look at how ice cold he was with Arum and how focused he is on everything. This, you'd imagine, is an example of a fighter just looking to take control of the situation and say to his team, this is what must happen. I have to fight Errol Spence. Get it done. I'm going to leave Top Rank. That's kind of my part done. Now do your job. You'd think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, though, because you've got Errol Spence, who is a pay-per-view attraction in America, who does sell in America, and he's coming from a point of view of being a unified champion at the weight. Obviously, the bigger commercial draw. We've seen in the past, and we all hate to talk about splits and sides of the street and stuff like that, but the fact remains. Exactly. It's as an important part of boxing as the jab nowadays, like we're talking about this sort of stuff. So you would hope that there's room to get that deal done now between them. I can't see it being next for Spence, coming off the back of a serious eye injury like that. You'd think at least he'd go back in there with somebody.
But look what happened the last time. Like, he has that horrific car accident, comes back and he gets an eye injury. Why? To me, I think like get the Crawford fight. It's the biggest financial fight out there for him is Crawford, surely for him as well. I would imagine.
It's the biggest financial fight, but the kind of flip side of the coin is it's also the fight of the era as a welterweight. If you're going into that fight, you want to make sure that you're well.
For him, just financially, you're just thinking like, what happened with the car accident? There you go. You risked yourself there. You touched base there a little bit. Then you go on about the eye injury. Then after the last scrap, who knows what? You could fight someone else who's rubbish this time, and then something else could happen. Like, why do you want to tempt fate? Take the fight. I knew this. Like, just take your what stake. You don't know what's going to happen next week. You fed a brain scan. That happened to me. Anything can happen. You just take the fight. If it's there offered for you, and it's good money to be made, better money than anywhere else, and it's a career-defining fight. It's an era-defining fight. No, I hate the word legacy because everyone's got a legacy now, and that's absolute bollocks, right? It really is because I haven't got a legacy. No, where's your legacy? It's rubbish.
I just say with legacy.
This is legacy.
It is, but when fighters are obsessed with legacy, but legacy is what other people think about you, and you can influence that, but ultimately you can't decide and construct it and plan it. You just do what you do.
Because this fight you'll remember if you're a boxing fan, like all these fighters going about their legacy. Most fighters who mention the word legacy, you'll forget who they are in 5 years' time anyway. It's irrelevant. But like, so it's what you're saying is correct. But this fight is a legacy fight because if you're around this era, you'll remember them two fought. No, it's not the Tommy Hearns Leonard fight, but it's one of the closest things we've had.
This era's version of it. It's this obviously.
Yeah, I know they're 15 years after
the two best welterweights of a decade.
Clearly,
yeah.
Like,
so
by the way,
obviously not the same commercial appeal as Mayweather Pacquiao, not as high level a fight as Leonard versus Hearns.
Both undefeated.
Yeah, but it has so many. Yeah, there are so many bits that you can sell the fight on.
Because I've got to say about Leonard and Crawford. I remember Bob Arum said very early in his career, he's this year's Sugar Ray Leonard. I thought that was the honourable. He boxes nothing like him. He's not as charismatic or good looking. All those things he's not. But he is. The one thing he has in common with Leonard is very rarely do you get a beautiful boxer.
He's a killer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's a killer. And I don't like to say the word killer when boxing is involved, but
yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
But he literally, you're right. He is. He's a killer. Like he has, because Leonard Benitez was another one, by the way. Beautiful to box, beautiful, lovely, beautiful boxers. Nasty, horrible. Give you an opportunity and they will cut you to pieces. Like you can just see them. They were nasty, horrible men in the ring. Like some of Leonard's finishes are horrific. Like he's smiling, he's all cute and lovely, like you take him home to see your mother. Go on with. Like, you'd be happy if your daughter came home with him. He's just a lovely guy. In the ring, you'd be like you have nightmares over him. And he's beautiful to watch, and he's a great style. And he's flurry, all those flurries. But early in his career, he was like some of the knockouts were horrendous. And I think Crawford's that in the same ilk. He's beautiful, skillful, thoughtful in his work. But once he has a sniff of blood, that's your ass. You're done.
Okay, well, before we move on, obviously lots to talk about this past weekend, and of course coming up this weekend. Final word on Terence Crawford. Does he beat Errol Spence if the fight happens next?
I think he does. Previously I might have favoured Spence because I'd seen more of him in the trenches, if you like, because of that fight against Porter. But having seen Crawford against Porter, I just think that overall Crawford's better.
Barry?
Uncharacteristically for me, yes.
That's it, yeah. There we go. We don't usually get many one-word answers from Barry Jones, but we are on a time limit today, so I'm pretty grateful for that.